Hello and welcome to CIS 4510 IT Project Management. In previous session, we identified the activities needed to complete the project through work breakdown structures, Gantt charts, and network diagrams, which included estimation of activity duration. In addition, we identified the resources needed to complete each activity and assigned resources to tasks. And we identified the risk associated with the project. In this session, we will identify the cost associated with each activity, which will result identifying the project overall cost. What is cost? Cost is identified as the monetary value of material, facility, equipment, and or labor required to produce something. Cost has to be managed based on what we have here. Then the Project Management Institute defines cost management as the processes involved in estimating, budgeting, and controlling cost so that the project can be completed within the approved budget. Cost estimation is the process and estimation of the monetary resources needed to complete project activities. Those are the cost management different processes. We have cost estimation, we have to determine the budget, and we have to control the cost. So for the cost estimation, it's the process of developing an estimation of the monetary resources needed to complete project activities. And then we need to determine the budget, which is the process of aggregating the estimated costs of individual activities or work packages to establish an authorized cost baseline. And then we need to control the cost, which is the process of monitoring the status of the project to update the project budget and manage changes to cost baseline. Usually it's either reported weekly or it can be baseline versus actual. We can just look at the baseline versus actual to see if we are within the range that's been specified at the beginning of the project or during the planning period or not. Once we spend the money or we have the cost, then we can compare that to the baseline and see if we are within range. In small projects, actually, cost estimation and cost budgeting processes are so tightly linked to the limit that they are viewed as one process. So we are talking about more large, complex projects, not the small projects. With small projects, it's more mixed processes, and it's not as clear as big projects. The project manager has to plan and manage the cost to provide the accurate cost rounded to the recommended precision using unified units of measures. If I'm using a dollar, then I'm using a dollar. If I'm using another currency, then I have to use the currency. Also, if I'm using it on an hourly basis, is different than using it on maybe labor hour or daily hour or weekly basis. So we have to unify the units of measures. In addition, the plan will link the work breakdown structure activities and their cost to the accounting system within the organization. The cost variance will be specified to provide the allowance range to monitor cost performance. And again, we have certain range. So out of range costs will trigger corrective actions to put costs back within the planned range. The plan will also define how frequent the team should report to the project manager and the project manager to the upper management or the client. All plans, actions, and issues will be documented to either be reported to the client or saved as a reference for future projects. Once the activities been identified and resources been assigned, the project manager and his team will start working on estimating the cost of each activity. So the cost estimation is defined as cost estimation process that's developed or that's used in the developing an approximation of the monetary resources needed to complete project activities. Now, the prediction of cost will be based on the given information at the point. The cost information and estimation will be used to consider project alternatives such as the buy or lease options. In addition, the cost information can be used to take proper decision with trade-offs and risk. The estimated cost is expressed in units of currency or labor hours, and sometimes, in some cases, it could be expressed in staff days. And it's calculated for all resources that will be charged to the project, such as labor, material, equipment, services, and facilities. So we try to unify all these units, measures of units, or units of measures that measures the activity, so we can add them together. The initial estimated cost might be a little deviated from the actual cost. At the beginning of the project, I'm not sure of all these costs. It's just estimation, and sometimes the estimation is little deviated or way off from the actual cost, and during the project execution more information will come, and it will be in details, so it will be clear and will become the cost will become available with the correct number. Actually, the accuracy of the estimated cost will increase as the project progresses through the project life cycle. But again, we have a certain range that we have to be within, and if we are out of that range, then actions has to be made to correct it, to make a corrective action to bring it back within the estimated range. To estimate the cost for the activities, we can use almost the same tools that we used in estimating the duration, such as the expert judgment, the analogous estimation, parametric estimation, bottom-up estimation, three-point estimation, reserve analysis, cost of quality, project management estimation software, and vendor bids analysis. Of course, some of them we did not use in time in estimating the duration, but like the expert judgment or the historical data, three-point techniques, Delphi techniques, almost all these are considered as the same as the time duration, and we have new ones that is cost related only. So for the expert judgment, as we did in the time estimate, we can use historical data to judge or to guide expert to make the proper judgment, providing a good cost estimate. If the expert judgment cannot provide a cost estimate, then experts can at least recommend the proper tool or method to estimate the cost. The analogous estimation method uses the values and parameters or measures of scale from previous similar projects as basis for cost estimation. Usually we use this method when we don't have enough information about the project. Actually, analogous estimation uses historical information and expert judgment, and is less costly and time consuming than other techniques or other methods. The parametric method can be used in conjunction with other estimating methods and using historical data to produce higher level of accurate estimates. It uses a statistical relationship between historical data and other variables. For example, maybe in previous project we had 60 linear feet of Cat6 cable, network cable that's being installed for a company or a small business, and the cost for the 60 feet were $300. So what will be the cost of installing 90 feet in the current project, since we are buying from the same vendor and the same type of wire with the same linear foot price, the same cost. Based on the historical information, we can divide the $300 divided by 60 linear foot, and we can get the amount or the cost per linear foot, which is $5. And then we can multiply the $5 multiplied by the new project linear foot that we are using, which is 90. So $5 times 90 linear feet, that will be $450. So what we did, we used the historical data of the cost of 1 linear foot to calculate the new wire installed in the new project. This is historical data that's been used, and it's based on the parametric method calculation. In the bottom-up approach, we have to know lots of information about the cost on the work package level or activity on the more detailed level. And the detailed cost for the group related subtasks will be added to estimate the cost of the main task, and we keep on rolling up to higher levels until we get the estimated cost of the total project activities. The accuracy of the estimated cost in this case will depend on the complexity and level of details for project activities. Another method for cost estimation is the three-point estimation technique, which uses 3 estimates to define an approximate range for an activity cost. And this is something that we did in time duration. Again, it's the same idea. In this case, we are using cost instead of time. So we have the most likely cost to buy or to complete an activity, and we have the optimistic and we have the pessimistic. So the expected or the estimated cost can be calculated by using the weighted average of these 3 estimates as follows. The estimated cost will equal to the cost of optimistic plus 4 times the cost of most likely plus the cost of the pessimistic, all divided by 6. Why by 6? As we said before, during the time duration estimation, all these follows a beta distribution, and with the beta distribution, the formula for getting the average is this formula, which is dividing by 6, because we are adding 4 times the most likely cost. So this is how we get the average or the estimated cost for each activity. For better estimation, uncertainty and risk can be taken into consideration to make sure that we are capturing all associated costs within activity. This is an example of 3-point techniques for 2 activities in software development. The first one is software programming and the second is software testing, and we have the different values for optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic. So the estimated or expected time for software programming and the software testing activities were calculated using the 3-point techniques, and after that we calculated the standard deviation from the same, or using the formula for that distribution, the beta distribution, which is the cost of pessimistic minus the cost of optimistic divided by 6, and that is the standard deviation. The reserve analysis method can be used with other methods to add an allowance amount to the activity cost to cover cost uncertainty. The amount can be expressed in percentage or as a fixed number. As more information becomes available, the allowance amount can be reduced or eliminated. The cost of quality is a method used with other methods to estimate the cost of failing activities during project execution and the cost of failure after the project is done. Any failure during the project execution could lead to a follow-up maintenance and warranty issues that should be estimated, and the cost would reflect on the project activities or the project budget. We can also use software packages such as computerized spreadsheets, simulation, and statistical tools to assist in cost estimation. Software tools can estimate the cost of all alternatives and facilitate the selection of the proper cost-effective alternative. The vendor bid analysis is another method used to estimate the cost based on responsive bids from qualified vendors. It should be used with other cost estimation methods. There are lots of problems associated with cost estimates, especially when developing an estimate for a large projects with complex tasks, which requires a significant amount of effort. In addition, there is a great chance of error due to the unexperienced people involved in the estimation. Lots of people are biased towards underestimating or the underestimation of activities or activities cost. Once we estimate the cost using any method or like a combination of methods for each activity, we can calculate the project cost, and the purpose of that is to determine how much money needed to complete the whole project. Now remember, the work breakdown structure, the network diagram, the resource assignment, activity duration, and cost estimation are all parts of the planning process that should be known before starting the execution. So actually we are calculating we know all the information before, so all the information now are available, and knowing those information will give me the total cost to complete the project, and that total cost is called project budget. So the authorized budget does not include management reserves, and we can use the project budget to measure project cost performance. Are we within budget? Are we out of budget? Did we use more money than was assigned for us? And this is considered as a measure of project cost performance. To determine the authorized budget, we need to know activity cost estimates, basis of estimates, the scope baseline, my boundaries, my limitation, project schedule, which is like we said, the Gantt chart or the network diagram, the resource calendar, the assigned resources, the contracts, if we have a subcontractor or a contractor that's from the outside, we outsource some of the activities, and the organizational assets. And that will give me the budget, and we can authorize it and approve it. The total budget or the total cost can be, or the budget can be determined using tools and techniques, different tools and techniques such as cost aggregation, which is using the work breakdown structure to estimate for higher activities, higher activity levels, and for the entire project. We can use also the reserve analysis tool or technique, and the budget reserve analysis can establish both the contingency reserve and the management reserve for the project. Also, we have the expert judgment, where judgments are provided based upon expertise in an application area, knowledge area, or discipline or industry. We can also use historical relationships, which can be used to develop a mathematical model to predict total project costs. In addition, we can use the funding limit reconciliation, and the expenditure of funds should be within the limits of funds for that project. That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, you can email it to me. Thank you and have a great day.